Hello and welcome to the Tournament Center. There you see the competitors. We're about halfway through day 2 of Pro Tour Hollywood. I'm Randy Buehler here with Brian David Marshall, and the tournament's really starting to take shape. You're starting to get a sense of storylines near the sort of the 3/4 mark overall, and it's a scrum. The guys that were sitting undefeated last night have sort of fallen back to the pack a little bit. You've got Stan van der Velden is 0-3 today after an 8-0 yesterday, and Guillaume Wafo-Tapa, I mean, you'll actually get a look at him. He played this tough match with Thomas Enveldsen last time. Everybody's crowded around. All eyes are on Guillaume. 1-1-1 today. So that's not great, but he's still in second place. He and Enveldsen are tied for second.
And better than how Stan van der Velden's done today. He's had a very, very rough day, too. A lot of that anti-Ferry hate has been aimed directly at him. I watched him get Crovaxed right out of the last round. There was just nothing he could do. He had a bitter blossom just ticking away his life, making like nothing every turn.
Sure.
It's just like,
sure.
Pay a life, we get nothing.
So Guillaume is in second place, but sitting on top of the standings right now, the only person on 30 points, the only person on 10-1,
Shuhei Nakamura.
Shuhei Nakamura. He's always there. This guy is just constantly putting up results, running an elf deck, right?
Green-black elves.
Is it the Tsuyoshi Fujita design?
No, it is not.
It's a distinct Japanese green-black elf deck.
This is the green-black elf deck. It looks very similar to what we've seen at World Championships last year. So, again, this is Ren Run Vanquisher, nameless inversion.
Cool.
So like kind of like a Rocky elf stack.
Makes sense. Shuhei's on top. Wafo-Tapa's in second. You got Makihito Mahara hanging out on X and 2.
Former world champion.
Absolutely. And then there is just a ton of talent sitting at 8-3. 8-3 right now. People are saying, okay, you can probably get into the top 8 with 4 losses, but maybe not 4 losses and bad breakers. The line maybe somewhere in the middle of the X and 4. So
you'd really like it to be 3 losses.
You'd like to hold on to X3, right? So sitting amongst the X3s, Rob Dougherty is in 14th place right now, the Hall of Famer. Paulo Victor Demo de Rosa is there. Manuel Boucher, the up-and-coming Swiss star. Marin Lebaird, Helmut Sommersberger, Luis Scott Vargas. Zach Hall chose not to wear the lucky shirt today, but he's still sitting in it at X3. Nico Boni, another member of that Swiss national team that won at Worlds last year. Gabriel Nassif is sitting there. Zvi Malshewitz started this tournament 0-3 and has just come all the way back. He hasn't lost since round 3.
Yeah, he did not believe in the red-green deck. Round 3 that he and his team had worked on. He said, you talked to round 3, he's like, I don't know, I thought this was the right deck. He's like, and now talked to him, and he's like, I'm starting to believe in it a little more.
8 wins in a row will do that for you. And Stuart Wright sitting on X and 3 as well with a homebrew concoction we did a deck tech on. Pretty interesting stuff.
Very Stoke Giant,
Yeah. So
picking up some steam.
Maybe there's a segue into the decks they're doing well. I'll give you a sense of the players, but from a deck point of view, you've definitely got some rogues. That's kind of the most exciting part of this tournament to me. You got guys like Stuart Wright. They're like, this is the Shadowmoor card I needed. I was hoping they'd print something like this, and all of a sudden, this crazy deck comes together. Whether it's him with the Fury Stoke Giant, or whether it's like a Guillaume Wafo-Tapa or Manuel B, who found like Una and the reflecting pool to stitch together this crazy mana base. Right. So you've definitely got a ton of rogues, and we'll see how the dust settles there. But what's the top? Like, Fairies was supposed to be the deck coming in. What does the field look like now, 3/4 of the way through?
The top 5 decks are still the same top 5 decks from yesterday, although there's been a little rejiggering in terms of the archetype order. Fairies is still on top. It was number 1 deck yesterday. It's the number 1 deck today. 29 players made it through to day 2 playing Fairies.
It's a little lower percentage then, right?
It's a little lower percentage. It was about 22% of the field. It dropped off about 5% from where it was yesterday.
But still the most popular deck.
Now, the second most popular deck yesterday was Black-Green Elves.
Okay.
And that has fallen to 4th.
Interesting.
And rocketing up is Doran.
Really?
Doran is the second most played deck on day 2. Doran and Merfolk are both tied at 15, actually.
Okay.
So they were both at about 11% of the field. Mono Red has held its numbers. It's at 14. It's at about 10%. Elves is about 10%. So Fairies, Doran, Merfolk, Mono Red, and then Elves makes up about 60 to 65% of the field on day 2.
So you got Fairies, you got 4 decks clustered around 10%, and then you got a ton of rogues.
You got a ton of rogues. Again, this does not account for Quick and Toast.
Right, that's one of the rogues.
This does not account for the Fury Stoke Giant deck that's running around there. This does not account for Revelark.
I was going to say, I've seen some Revelarks at the top tables.
Revelark is, now just to give you an idea, there's 8 Revelark decks in day 2.
Okay.
That is the 6th most common archetype.
Okay.
So you realize how spread out this day 2 metagame is.
The rest of the other 40%, sure.
Eight copies of a deck is in second place. Revelark 6% of the field. It's up from 4% yesterday.
I was going to say, they seem to be doing well.
And I tell you, every time I talk to someone about their deck, they're like, what's your good matchup? What's your bad matchup? They're like, oh, I'm good against this. I'm good against this. I'm 50 against this. And they're like, I'm cold to Lark. I just don't want to play a Lark deck because I can't beat them.
I have heard the same thing.
And I've been really getting the sense that Revelark is going to surprise everyone this weekend.
We shall see. There's
We still haven't seen the Juniper Order Ranger deck, which is lurking near the top tables also,
Right.
the combo deck.
So, again, 3/4 of the way through, we're starting to get a sense of how the stories are coming together, but the 8 nodes have fallen back to the field, very much a scrum. The decks, the metagame is starting to take shape, but like the answer to the metagame, still to be determined. We will write that answer over the course of the rest of today and tomorrow. Stay tuned to MagicTheGathering.com. Brian and I will be here. We'll be watching this home stretch as we find out who's going to be in the top 8, who's going to play for the 40 grand on camera tomorrow. See you then.